Hey there, Trevor here from Double Bill Movies. Okay, so you may have seen one of my more recent videos where I did an unboxing for two video nasties that have made their debut on 4K from 88 Films. So I watched one of them. I was planning on watching them both, but I was too tired, so I just stuck with the one. And the one I watched was Anthropophagous the Beast. So let's have a look at some images and I'll tell you what I think of the 4K of this film. So it was shot in 16mm, so the negatives that were scanned would be the 16mm negatives. So you're going to have a pretty grainy picture, and it is grainy, but it's not horrendous. You also got to remember that sometimes scenes were overexposed. The film was overexposed, and that can cause it to look extra grainy, or in darker scenes where it's underexposed and you know, the film is looking for light to work with, and that's why it also gets grainy again. But I think there's quite a nice balance throughout this film. It's presented in its 1:6:1 aspect ratio, so you'll have basically black masks either side of the picture, but that's correct, that's how it's meant to be seen. And I've actually got 4 versions of this film. It has different names, so Anthropophagous being one, or Anthropophagous the Beast being another. But it also has the name, where is it? Or am I thinking of the other film? No. The Grim Reaper is another one. And I think there might be a couple of other names, but so I have this version, this lovely 4K, like I said, I did an unboxing for. I've got this 2K scan version, which was the 5th film that 88 added to the Indiegogo campaign I took part in. And because we raised so much money, £80,000 as opposed to the £40,000 that was the original target. And so they said that if we reach that, then you know, we'll do this. So that's why we have this version of Anthropophagous as well. Then of course I have the original version that 88 put out, and that is just from whatever digital, I guess, DVD intermediate they had, or kind of thing. So it's not quite 2K, but it would be upscaled. And so yeah, that's that version. And then, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't quite know it was called Grim Reaper, I've got this horror set from Hollywood DVD, and this is volume 1. And there we go, the Grim Reaper. I'll show it to you on the back as well, if I get it to focus. Come on, focus. Not playing ball, is it? So yes, I have the Grim Reaper cut. So that'll be obviously a shorter version. And anyway, yes, so the title that comes up on screen is the Grim Reaper. So no, it's not, it's Savage Island, isn't it? That's it, Savage Island. So sorry, I correct myself. So yes, I have the Grim Reaper cut, which in theory, when I put it on, Grim Reaper should come up as the title. The film version that they've used, or the negatives that they scanned, are clearly the Savage Island version. I don't know where the name Anthropophagous comes from, whether it was just done that for the English release back in the day before the video nasty things happened. Yes, it actually starts out with a German couple along the beach, and they go sunbathing. There's no subtitles for their German language, which you kind of don't really need, because the actions and what they do is tells you enough. You don't need any dialogue. And the guy they got a dog with him, the guy sort of lies down on the rock and starts sunbathing, and he's got his radio headphones on, and he's listening to music, and his girlfriend goes out into the water. And the one thing you do very clearly understand is that she says, "This is cold." The water's cold, you know. And yeah, so she goes in, she starts swimming, and then she sees a boat. She goes over to investigate the boat, and then she gets into some trouble, and then all of a sudden she is no more. And then we sort of start following the point of view of another character, and there's blood dripping into the water and onto the sand, and we go back to the guy that's sunbathing, and suddenly he gets a hatchet into the head. So that's the first we sort of get the Grim Reaper, but we don't see him. And then the tourists that are going to do some island hopping on the cable car up to wherever they're going, there is a woman in there, and she says that she has some friends that have a house on one of the islands, and maybe they could go there. She also wants a lift, so you know, and they go to the island, and there's no one there. It's kind of deserted for whatever reason, and you sort of don't know why. Now, because you know, it was released in 1980, but it was clearly shot in the 70s, you know, 78, 79, so it still has a very, very 70s feel to it. And I find with these European films, they use a different style of music, because obviously they're from a different background to us Brits and Americans and everything. And I find it adds to the creepy aesthetics of the film. And the you know, the look, the white buildings, because obviously they're sunny islands, so there's not many colours. All the walls are white to try and keep the buildings cool, and they end up at the house, and it's a bit creepy, and all sorts of things start to happen. One of them disappears, and it's a pregnant woman, and you sort of think, oh well, that's the end of her. Nope, we get to revisit her a bit later on in a cave, and some pretty awful things happen. It's probably one of the most infamous scenes in the video nasties, and I kind of, you know, I think, well, yes, it's a very grim scene, but you know what, if you're going to do a film like this, then don't shy away from anything. And I think that's why I like Anthropophagous. And so basically, the reason he looks like that is we get to see a bit of backstory with him and his wife. They're clearly shipwrecked, and they're burnt by the sun and everything, and he decides he needs to turn to cannibalism, and you know, I guess his son is potentially the first victim. Doesn't quite go through with that, because his wife sort of exclaims no, and he doesn't sort of, you know, we don't see anything. So but he's clearly roaming the island, pretty hungry, and that's why there's not many people left. But I quite like the film. It is definitely feels like watching a video nasty. When I did the episode of the 39 with Bumper, I think, well, I can't actually remember. I know I thought that it felt like a video nasty. You'd have to watch the episode again if you wanted to find out what Bumper thinks. But yeah, so anyway, let's have a look at some images, comparing the 2K scan Blu-ray and the 4K. Okay, so here are the screenshots. Now let's start with the Blu-ray first. Now this is in reverse order to what I took them in. What I wanted to show with this one was that there is actually image here, and you'll see that when you look at the 4K one, that is pretty much shadow. There's enough contrast and everything there that you don't see anything beyond over her right shoulder, basically, which is nice. I think it looks better that way. So there's Mr. Eastman, looking rather ominous as he's hidden behind a door. Now, some of the artifacts you can see on the image are just my phone, so they are not present on the disc. Don't worry about it. Yeah, quite well exposed, perhaps a bit too bright. And this is one thing I say about Blu-rays, is that I think they're too bright. So this was mainly to see what the lamp was like. But actually, even with the HDR, the lamp didn't look any different, really. But the overall image did. And then we got this scene. So they're on the boat, they're on their way to the island. And so you got the pregnant lady, the one that disappears, on the right hand side, sitting down. You got the gentleman there playing the guitar. But yeah, these are quite nice colours. You know, it's quite warm. Let's zoom in and see what sort of, you can see it's quite grainy. And that's not just from sort of the resolution of the picture that I've taken. It is just kind of like that anyway. But still, it's a nice overall image. And this is them earlier on. Like I said, I'm kind of going backwards through these images. But, you know, if you take note of the red of her jumper, I believe the lady in the foreground passed away recently. So, yes, I've tried to get exactly the same frame from each source. I go to this one. So these are, I'm guessing, military, and they are doing a rather fancy display. And yes, you know, we might find it a bit weird and comedic, but obviously various different armies do various different things to show off what they can do, don't they? But obviously they've got their parade dress on, clothing, not dresses. And look at the grain there on the wall of that little post, sentry post. And so you can't quite see the masks either side of the image, because this image is darker as it doesn't have the HDR. So now if I go to the 4K, and there you go, you can see there is nothing to the right of her, on her right shoulder. The wood looks better, everything looks better, the skin tones look better. It's a much nicer image. And you know, that's the good thing about these 4Ks, is we are getting much more natural color palettes. And there's that one. My camera coped a little bit better with this one because it was brighter. Now the reason this is so bright is I forgot there's actually a thunderstorm going on, so I've managed to capture it when he's in full light, as the flash has occurred. Yeah, pretty grim looking. And there we go, that's what that scene looks like. And as you see with the lamp, it still looks nice, perhaps a bit brighter, a bit more lamp-like. But yeah, you can see the room much better. Again, much more natural colours, and very indicative of the age of the film from the 70s. And film, when it's first processed, does look very pale, and I think they've decided to leave it that way, rather than try and grade it any other way, saturate it any more than it is. And I like the way they leave it natural. And there we go, look how different that looks. There's more. The thing with red colours, if you, this is going to sound weird, but if you can see black in the red, then it's right. Me and my colleagues at work, when Cars first came out, the Pixar film, we stood when we first got the decent TVs with the really good black levels, we were like, yeah, we can see the black in the red. And yeah, it sounds like a weird thing to say, but I know what I mean. It's what helps the blood in these films. If there's not any sort of black in the red, then it just looks like red paint or something like that, as opposed to actual blood. But there we go. Yes, it's grainy, perhaps not as grainy. It's much more controlled than the Blu-ray version. And here we go. To me, there's much more contrast in those colours there. So that's Tia Farrow, isn't it? She's the lady that's passed away recently. But if I go in on the other lady's jumper again, yeah, I know what I mean when there's black in there, because it's not just pure glaring red. It should not be luminous in any way, shape or form. So if you're getting that on your TV, then you need to make some adjustments. And now you can see the mask. So that big vertical line, that is the edge of the picture, and then a couple of inches, and then the edge of my screen. So that's how you should see it on your telly, or indeed your screen if you're projecting as well. And then down to the first one. Sorry about that. Back to the very first image. And yeah, let's zoom in on the Sentry box. There's a lot less grain there. It is there, but it doesn't look so bad. The HDR has allowed it to expose better, if you see what I mean. And if you remember my comment from earlier, the nice blue in the sky. And so if I go, let's see if I go, come out, there we go. So you can see for yourself the difference. I would be nice if I could get them in line with each other, but with my phone this way it doesn't quite do it. But perhaps if I just took a set number of pictures, 5 of each rather than 6, I could get them one on top of each other and you could see the difference for yourself. But especially the woman at the window, you can see how much more natural it looks. And if you want to see the soldiers at the beginning, maybe the Blu-ray looks slightly better there. But when you look at them on the boat, I think when you blow it up, when you see it like this and on a big screen, that looks much more natural than that. That looks like an old faded photograph, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah, so there you go. All right, there we go. So what do you think? Are you did you pick up this limited edition, which was the website exclusive to 88 Films, of which there are only 1,000 copies? Are you looking to get the 4K in? Do you think there's enough of a difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K? Clearly the biggest difference is the colours. I think the image on the Blu-ray is actually pretty nice. So if you miss out on this, or you're not bothered about upgrading to 4K because of the kind of film it is, but you like it enough, then maybe stick with the with this version. Of course, if you can find the original version with the art cards, because this doesn't have the art cards, this is just the slipcover, which was one of my perks when I did the Indiegogo fundraiser, because this should have a clear case, a white case like this one, and there should be some art cards in there. So I am keeping a lookout for one, because I would like to have it. And yeah, so anyway, there we go. Hope you liked that video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you set your notifications to all so you don't miss any of the videos that I put up. I've got plenty for you to watch. So if you're new to my channel and you think, well, don't just watch my recent videos, there's plenty of other stuff to watch, and I will happily reply to any comments that you leave. So anyway, till the next video, take it easy.